Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Iskon Guruvinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shishikot Nitai Matpushashi ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari. Reading from Nectar of Devotion, chapter entitled Evidence Regarding Devotional Principles. Similarly, a bona fide spiritual master has no business reading many books simply to show his proficiency or to get popularity by lecturing in different places. One should avoid all these things. It is also stated that a sannyasi should not be enthusiastic about constructing temples. We can see in the lives of various acharyas in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they are not very enthusiastic about constructing temples. However, if somebody comes forward to offer some service, the same reluctant acharyas will encourage the building of costly temples by its servitors. For example, Rupa Goswami was offered a favor by Maharaj Man Singh, the commander-in-chief of Emperor Akbar, and Rupa Goswami instructed him to construct a large temple for Govindaji, which cost vast amounts of money. So bona fide spiritual master should not personally take any responsibility for constructing temples, but if someone has money and wants to spend it in the service of Krishna, an acharya like Rupa Goswami may utilize the devotee's money to construct a nice, costly temple for the service of the Lord. Unfortunately, it happens that someone who is not fit to become a spiritual master may approach wealthy persons to contribute for temple constructions. If such money is utilized by unqualified spiritual masters for living comfortably in costly temples without actually doing any preaching work, This is not acceptable. In other words, a spiritual master needn't be very enthusiastic for constructing temple buildings simply in the name of so-called spiritual advancement. Rather, his first and foremost activity should be to preach. In this connection, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj recommended that a spiritual master print books. If one has money, instead of constructing costly temples, one should spend his money for the publication of authorized books in different languages for propagating the Krishna consciousness movement. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 19. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nasimha. Nartasya chakadamadhanvati majuto nau. Taptasya tat pratividirya ihanja sheshtas. Tavad vibhotanubitam tvad apekshitanam. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nasimha. Nartasya chakadamadhanvati majotano. Taptasya tat pratividirya ihanja cheshtas. Tavad vibhotanubritam tvad apekshitanam. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nasimha. Nartasya chakadamutanvati majatono. Taptasya tat pratividirya ihanja sheshtas. Tavad vibhotanubritam tvadapekshitanam. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nasimha. Taptasya tat pratividirya ihanja sheshtas. Tavad vibhotanubritam tvadapekshitanam. Sajaya jayam pratisama. Dasi jagadamadhan vatimajatono. Taptasya tat pratividir jahijanja sheshtas. Tavad vibhotanubritam tvadapekshitanam. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nasimha. Natasya chagatamudanvati majatono. Taptasya tat prativitirya ihanja sheshtas. Tavad vibhutano britam tvadapekshitano. Balasya neha sharanam pitaro narasimha. Natasya chagatamutanvati majato no. Taptasya tat pratividirya hihanja sheshtas. Tavat vibhutano britam tvadapekshitano. Balasya, of a little child. Na, not. Iha, in this world. Sharanam, shelter, protection. Pitaro, the father and mother. Nasimha, of my Lord Nrsingadev. Na, neither. Artasya, of a person suffering from some disease. Ja, also. Agadam, medicine. Udanvati, in the water of the ocean. Majata, of a person who is drowning. No, the boat. Taptasya, of a person suffering from a condition of material misery. Tat prativiti, the counteraction. Invented for stopping the suffering of material existence. Ya, that which. Iha, in this material world. Anjasa, very easily. Ishta, accepted as a remedy. Tavat, similarly. Vibho, of my Lord, O Supreme. Danubritam, of the living entities who have accepted material bodies. Dvat apekshitanam, who are neglected by you and are not accepted by you. Translation. O my Lord Nrsingadev, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child, a physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. Please repeat, O my Lord Nrsingadev, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and a mother cannot protect their child. A physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient. And a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Through parental care, through remedies for different kinds of disease, and through means of protection on the water, in the air and on land, there is always an endeavor for relief from various kinds of suffering in the material world, but none of them are guaranteed measures for protection. They may be beneficial temporarily, but they afford no permanent benefit. Despite the presence of a father and a mother, a child cannot be protected from accidental death, disease, and various other miseries. No one can help, including the parents. Ultimately, the shelter is the Lord, and one who takes shelter of the Lord is protected. This is guaranteed. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Gontehi pratijanihi nami bhakta pranashati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Therefore, unless one is protected by the mercy of the Lord, no remedial measure can act effectively. One should consequently depend fully on the causeless mercy of the Lord. Although as a matter of routine duty, one must of course accept other remedial measures, no one can protect one who is neglected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this material world, everyone is trying to counteract the onslaught of material nature, but everyone is ultimately fully controlled by material nature. Therefore, even though so-called philosophers and scientists try to surmount the onslaught of material nature, they have not been able to do so. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 13:9 that the real sufferings of the material world are four: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age, and disease. In the history of the world, no one has been successful in conquering these miseries imposed by material nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Nature, Prakriti, is so strong that no one can surmount her stringent laws. So-called scientists, philosophers, religionists, and politicians should therefore conclude that they cannot offer facilities to people in general. They should make vigorous propaganda to awaken the populace and raise them to the platform of Krishna consciousness. Our humble attempt to propagate the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world is the only remedy that can bring about a peaceful and happy life. We can never be happy without the mercy of the Supreme Lord, Twad Apekshitanam. If we keep displeasing our Supreme Father, we shall never be happy within this material world, in either the upper or lower planetary systems. Om Jnanatamidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmritanyena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's read the verse again. O my Lord Nrsingadev, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. With whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A physician in medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat in the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. So Prahlad Maharaj here is continuing on the glorification of Lord Nrsingadev, and he's describing how without the mercy of the Supreme Lord, we can't actually attain permanent relief from this material world, or there may be some relief of suffering through medicine, through different things in this world, but they're not permanent. And that unless we take shelter of the Lord, unless we're protected by Krishna himself, then we're not actually going to overcome any sufferings. We'll become entangled in more suffering. So actually all actions, whether right or wrong, are due to 5 factors, and it's explained in the Bhagavad Gita that in the 18th chapter, verse 14, that the place of action, the performer are the various senses, many kinds of endeavor, but ultimately the supersoul is the cause of the result of actions. So there's 5 factors. So it's not that we can just do something and expect a result. So the 5 factors have to be there. The place of action, which is the body. The performer is the soul. The various instruments of the senses. And the many kinds of endeavor or effort has to be there. And ultimately, unless it's sanctioned by the supersoul, the Paramatma, then something doesn't happen. No matter how much we endeavor, It's not possible unless it's sanctioned by Krishna. Ultimately, he's a super cause, Prabhupada says. So although everyone's trying to get free from suffering and live happily in this world, we want to become free from disease and other miseries. There's no guarantee of success. And with all their efforts, it's described here, with all their efforts, parents may try to protect their child and try to protect their child from disease, from sufferings, but still the child cries and suffers, right? And still it gets diseased. Still there's so many problems. And also it's saying that we may get the best medicine from a physician to cure a disease, but still the patient may die. So there's no guarantee that the physician can save the patient. And even although there may be a big boat on the ocean and somebody's drowning, there's no guarantee that person will be saved because there's a boat on the ocean to save him. So the man may still drown. So there's no guarantee, but unless we're protected by the mercy of the Lord, there's no other remedial measure actually. Because if Krishna protects somebody, nobody can kill him. And if Krishna doesn't protect that person, then they can die very easily. So when one may think, well, it's saying here that, embodied souls neglected, not cared for by the Lord, cannot do anything for their betterment. So it seems like some souls are actually neglected by the Lord. Why would that? It seems like kind of a heavy statement because, the Paramatma is in everyone's heart. So why would one soul be neglected and another soul protected? That can be part of it because of the karma, but still all souls are eternally part and parcel of Krishna. So why would the Lord neglect somebody? That's right. That's the correct answer because Krishna inspires us according to our desires. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that I'm equally disposed to all living beings. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion as a friend is in me, and I'm a friend to him. So Krishna is reciprocal. So it's just like, Prabhupada describes it like a cloud. It rains everywhere equally, whether it's on the mountain, whether it's on the land, whether it's on the sea. It's not going to choose who it's going to rain over. So, but for his devotees, Krishna gives specific attention. Prabhupada says, someone may be charitably disposed to all, yet he has a special interest in his own children. This is natural. So somebody may be very charitable and gives to everyone. He even has an orphanage, and he does so much charitable work, but he still has a higher interest in his own children. So similarly, Krishna is he's a personality. He's reciprocal towards what we want. So although every living entity, every living being is a living child, is a child of God, only the devotees have the consciousness of acting like God's children, right? So we're all children of God, but some children are not actually conscious of God. They're totally neglectful of God. But those who are conscious and they act like God's children, then they will be protected because they're actually in the right consciousness. So Krishna especially reciprocates with them. Krishna says, Yatamam prapadyante. So as they surrender, I reward them accordingly. So an atheist may want to forget Krishna. So Krishna fulfills his desire. So that's how he neglects him. So, so when the jiva acts as a doer, it's only taking place because the Lord's permitting it, giving the permission for it to do so. So the Lord has given us the body, the senses, so that we can act. But if we want to neglect Krishna, then he'll allow our senses and our body to neglect him, But one who sees only the jiva as the doer of action is foolish, Krishna says, because ultimately it's Krishna that's sanctioning our desires. It's Krishna who's sanctioning whether we want to forget him or whether we want to remember him. So ultimately it's depending on Krishna. So an activity is motivated by a person. So we're actually initiating the cause. But ultimately, Krishna is a super cause, Prabhupada says, because he's a sanctioning agent. He's the sanctioning cause. So it's the super soul within the core of everyone's heart who gives the inspiration for acting according to one's mentality. So it's all depending on our desires, how Krishna fulfills that. So, and Krishna says, Mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha. So for me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So everyone's working according to the inspiration given by the super soul. Because everyone has a different goal of life and everyone acts differently as guided by the Lord in the heart. So as soon as we're born, we have desires from the past life, and Krishna, he's in the heart. He reminds us of all those past desires. We wanted a big car, or we wanted a big house, we wanted to be famous, whatever it is. So Krishna is in the heart, and he inspires us to act upon those desires because that's what we wanted in our past life. So from that, Krishna gives us the ability or the inspiration to, go for those certain goals that we actually have desires for. So whatever our actions, whether good or bad, the ultimate sanctionary agent is Krishna. So, but you can't be blamed for it because we've had the desire to want those things in the first place. So it's the jiva's desires that are the cause of the sufferings in this world. And so we can see that there's so many problems in the world today, and there's so much war, violence, disease, environmental problems. And this is due to the degradation of values in society. If the jivas are desiring to exploit material nature, they're desiring to enjoy the material world unrestrictedly, then the result is going to be suffering. And we see that the godless society is not a happy society. We see it today. And so from that, and Prabhupada says in the purport that we can never be happy without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. If we keep displeasing our Supreme Father, we shall never be happy within this material world. So if we surrender to Krishna and we follow his directions and depend on his mercy, then Krishna takes personal care of us. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on me, desiring my association, to them I supply what they lack and I preserve what they have. And so Krishna personally takes the responsibility to carry the burden of their maintenance, their spiritual and material welfare. So depending on how much we are surrendered or how much we are dependent on Krishna, then that's how much he will, look after us and personally take care of us. So it's just like a small child. If it's totally dependent on its parents, the parents are more likely to look after the child. It's more likely to protect the child. Whereas if somebody's independent of their parents and is quite able to do things for himself, then the parents don't have to take so much personal care, But for a small child, usually the parents look after the child very carefully and protect it. So in the same way, if we are like a small child and we're always taking shelter of Krishna and we're always seeking his protection, then like Prahlad Maharaj, then we'll be protected personally by the Lord. So this is that direct reciprocation from Krishna. So because Krishna is a person, is the supreme person, then he reciprocates with everyone according to the dependency on him. So and Prabhupada is saying that Krishna consciousness is the only remedy that can bring about a peaceful and happy life. So we can never be happy without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So the more we can give Krishna consciousness to others, and they take it up, then the more society will be happy and peaceful. And then the more easier it will be to practice Krishna consciousness in such an environment. So, and actually, Krishna is actually giving his mercy through his pure devotees. And that's how we become connected to Krishna. Krishna isn't giving that mercy through many sources except through his devotees, because the devotee is more merciful than the Lord, and he can give bhakti to others. So that's why devotees are so dear to Krishna, because that they bring other conditioned souls to him and help them become devotees too. So the devotees are actually the ones that are giving the mercy, Krishna's mercy, to others. That's how Krishna gives his mercy, is through his devotees. And Krishna says that none so dear to me than those who preach my glories. So Srila Prabhupada is there in his books, and he's giving his pure association and bringing us closer to Krishna. And so powerful is the potency of a pure devotee that Srila Prabhupada has changed the course of the world. He's changed the course of so many lives that were following, degraded life. And the world was actually heading for disaster. And Prabhupada came and changed the course of history. He created a spiritual revolution to redirect the misdirected civilization. So we have to continue the mission. I was listening to a remembrance. They were having remembrances at Vyasapura time in Krishna Valley, and Naranjan Maharaj was giving some memories of Prabhupada, his own memories. And he said that somebody asked him, when was the first time you met Srila Prabhupada? And Naranjan Maharaj said, the first time I met Srila Prabhupada was in a bookstore. And they said, what was Prabhupada doing in a bookstore? He said, he was sitting on the shelf in the form of his book. So that was his first association with Prabhupada. And that's the first association we have of Srila Prabhupada, is through his books. So these books are like seeds. And that then they need to be planted in everyone's home, and then they will fructify. Because for the seeds to sprout, there needs to be a watering, which is the chanting and the hearing. And the books are recorded kirtans. So when we read these books, we're actually reciting these books, then we're actually chanting and we're hearing Srila Prabhupada's words. So that will actually bring about purification of the heart. Shishi Godintai Mai Prashushi Ki Jai. So we can see in many lives throughout the world, so many devotees became devotees because they came in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books. Because the power of these books is that the power of the pure sound vibration of Prabhupada is there in the books. And that association will purify us and bring us to the perfect stage. So even if somebody doesn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, these books have the potency to actually inspire them to become devotees. And throughout the world, this is actually the process, how devotees actually became in touch with Krishna consciousness. And they're still here today to tell the story. So we can't underestimate the power of these books. And Prabhupada gave them in such a way that no matter what language they are translated in, it's having an effect, whether it's in Russian, when it's Chinese, whatever language it is, it's having an effect on the living beings, and it's purifying them. That's the potency of Srila Prabhupada. And one devotee said to me that when he first got one of Prabhupada's books and he read it, it was as though somebody was like a booming voice was speaking to him. And then when he heard Prabhupada's lecture, he said it was the same voice, the same booming voice that he felt from his books. So, and he became a devotee. So this is actually, Prabhupada has the potency to cut through all our ignorance through his words. So our mission is to help others also come to Krishna consciousness, to help them. And then we can actually make the world a more peaceful place where we can actually practice Krishna consciousness in a happier way, in a peaceful way. When there's so much degradation around us, is very disturbing. So the more we can bring the society up in Krishna consciousness, the more easier it will be for everyone to practice Krishna consciousness. Is there any questions or comments? Yes, Natalie.
You were mentioning that how much Krishna reciprocates with us, how much he takes care of us, depends on our dependency on him. So how can we become dependent on him, but at the same time not give up all the responsibility and just relax and be like, oh, I depend on Krishna and he will take care of me?
No, that's a good question. So we have to make the effort. What is that saying? That we make the effort that everything depends on us and the result depends on Krishna. So, but we're not independently thinking that we're the doers. That's the main thing, that we're conscious that Krishna is the ultimate cause. And we have to still make all the endeavor. Like Arjuna, he wasn't just sitting on this chariot thinking, well, I'll depend on Krishna, he can do it all, He had to make all endeavor and all effort to fight for Krishna. So in the same way, we have to make all efforts and all endeavors to do service for Krishna, to preach, to do everything we can in our power. But ultimately, we know that Krishna's ultimate cause, and but that's how we get Krishna's mercy. The more we endeavor, the more we make effort. It's not that we can just lazily take up Krishna consciousness and think, well, Krishna can do it all, and I'll just have to sit down and relax, So we have to make all the effort and endeavor. So, but still we have to do all that. Is that okay? Anything else? Well, depending on circumstances, how much they're able to do. But the mentality should be that ultimately we have to surrender, to Krishna, what he wants us to do. And unless we surrender to Krishna, we can't really progress and advance in Krishna consciousness. There has to be some surrender or some sacrifices. I was just listening to Prabhupada this morning, and he was saying that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that we shouldn't give this knowledge to those who are not austere and not devoted and not surrendered to him. So we can only advance to according to how much we're surrendering to Krishna. Well, like the mode of goodness is firm determination. If we're in the mode of passion, then it's like we're affected by, what's the result. So we have to raise to the mode of goodness where we're not affected by the result. We still continue with determination to do the service, despite all the inconvenience, despite all the difficulties and obstacles that come, because we have firm faith that what we're doing is correct. Whether the result comes, that's up to Krishna, but we're doing the right thing. We're doing our duty. Well, mode of ignorance is laziness, not even endeavoring, not even making the effort, just giving up very quickly. Mode of passion is we get swayed by the result, whether it's good or bad, and it's up and down. It's not like very steady. And mode of goodness is no matter what happens, we still do our duty, despite all the difficulties. We still endeavor whether we get a result or not. Remember, depending on Krishna.
One of the results that we get from Sankirtan is that everyone comes into contact with Bhagavad books gets a human birth. So, one of the reasons that we focus on the life itself, bring a lot of things into people's lives. And then you say you should do that to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So devotee can find a way to somehow benefit others in any circumstance, right? So devotee should always carry a book with them wherever they go. Like you can give some stories that, we went to the hospital and you had a book with you in your bag and you went past the pastoral care section and you just popped in and said, oh, well, here's a book on spiritual life. And you handed it to the person, right? In the job centre as well, we went to the job centre and we were just dressed up in sari and dhoti and say, we're actually nuns and monks and we actually do meditation. And the person was actually interested. He said, I actually do meditation myself. So we gave him one of the books and invited him to the program. And the last week we went again, and there was an Indian lady, and she was really interested in coming to the Sunday program. So she had a little deity of Ganesh. So it's like if we've got some form of some books or something to give to people, then Krishna will help us and direct us to somebody that we can give it to. He'll arrange something that we can, he'll arrange it that we'll meet somebody who's interested. So we have to have the consciousness that any circumstances, anywhere, anytime, we can meet somebody who we can give Krishna consciousness to, and Krishna will arrange it that we'll meet somebody. Yes, can I take it?
Sometimes we see when we go to book distribution or from preaching and we invite them to our meeting. That means, for example, we do this Wednesday program in Hyderabad or home program or online program. We see many people they come along to our meeting once, twice, then they stop coming. So how can we increase that number of them attending more?
Well, it means we have to connect with people personally, more personally. That's what they're looking for that personal interaction and follow up. So if it's just a one-off thing, they may not come back, or they may take time to come back again. But if we're pursuing, trying to help them, trying to keep in touch with them, then they will become more interested. I don't know. What do you think?
How do we encourage the devotees? Like she brought on just that the devotees should stay back to temple all the time. Comfortable in the situation. And then you need to go out and with one man. It's like get those other devotees to make so that they can be comfortable.
We have to inspire them. We have to inspire devotees. But of course, in the beginning, it may be uncomfortable because it's a difficult service. Not everybody's able to do it so well. But if we can inspire devotees to do it, so that they can get a taste for it. Because that's what everyone wants. Once we get a taste for it, then we won't want to stop. So that's what we need to inspire others. And we also have to leave everyone very favorable, leave them with a favorable impression of Krishna consciousness. You know, that's actually going to affect them more than anything else, because they may not want to give a donation or they may not take a book, but as long as they're favorable, then there's a better chance they will, the next time they will give a donation, take a book. You know? And the next time they will want to know more about the philosophy and they maybe want to come to the program. Yeah, well, that's austerities, and book distribution isn't just we're trying to benefit them, but actually we go there out for self-purification. A lot of it's self-purification, because it'll help us to become tolerant and humble and patient. So Sankirtan has helped me to develop those qualities, because I'm not so good at it, so I have to have a lot of patience and I have to tolerate a lot and I have to be humble to accept rejection throughout the day. So it's more self-purification for me than actually benefiting others. But that's also that's how we make advancement. How else are we going to make advancement? You know, if we just sit in a cave all day, we're not interacting with anybody, we don't tolerate anything with anybody, how do we know we're actually making advancement? It's only when we have something to tolerate, and there's some obstacles in our path or impediments, that's how we start to see how advanced we actually are. Yeah. Ultimately, we should be tried to be like instruments in Krishna's hand. Krishna can use us in his service in that way. If we keep thinking we're the doers, then we'll be up and down all the time. But if we're seeing ourselves as instruments and we just want to be like a puppet in Krishna's hand, then Krishna can do amazing things through us. So we're depending on our consciousness. Is it anything else? Shall I stop? Okay. Thank you for attending the class. Grantha Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, ISKCON Guru Vrinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari.